Hey everybody, Nick here, and today I got a review for you of this little guy right here. This is the Tatara Razors Muramasa safety razor. Very interesting little razor, and I actually mean that. It has itself a pretty neat little trick. It is an adjustable razor, but it does it better, I feel like, than anything else on the market, and so I'm very glad to take a look at it. Before I go any further, I gotta let you know this guy was sent to me by Tatara. They reached out to me, said, "Hey Nick, do you want to look at another one of our razors?" Because I had previously looked at this little guy, the Masamune, whose name I'm gonna mix up Muramasa and Masamune because, yeah, I don't speak the Japanese. Pretty sure that's not Portuguese. But anyways, it is also not Icelandic. I would have reason. This is a Portuguese company. Anyways, I digress. But they reached out to me wherever the heck they are in whatever language that is. Considering the samurai, I'm gonna go on a. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm completely off the rails here. They reached out to me. They sent this guy along an embarrassingly long time ago. It has taken me forever to get around to filming this because I'm gonna be honest. I've just been using it. I've been in that state where every damn morning I shave with it. I'm like, oh, this is a great razor. I should film the review, and then I promptly forget because my day is on fire already. And so, nonetheless, I'm finally sitting down to do it. But nonetheless, when they sent it along, I told them I'm going to talk about the good, the great, the bad, the ugly. There we go, back on track. It might be a gem, it might be junk. They did still send it along. They looked at the website, they looked at my disclaimer. Nonetheless, I want to assure you that this is going to be your very best quality controlled unit ever, because they knew who they were sending it to. And I'm doing my absolute best not to let this affect the nature or the quality of my review. There we go. Hey, I got through a thing I've done 50,000 times. Great. Well done, Nick. Well done. Pat on the back. Anyways, one big proviso, one big warning. This is not cheap. This is a $375 safety razor. You might be asking yourself, Nick, you idiot, are you insane? Well, yes, actually. As a matter of fact, I sure am. Why would you pay $375? Well, it's a good question. We're going to address that one later. But if this is out of your price range, you don't care, well, then I'm sorry. This is going to be a different video for you. But nonetheless, this is a safety razor, right? If you are not familiar with a safety razor, the joy of a safety razor is that, well, a couple of things. A, you get a very nice shave, right? This is for shaving your face, your head, your bits, whatever you want to shave with it, right? This is a... just a bit. Oh boy. But this is a safety razor. And the cool thing about it is that it uses, one of the many cool things about safety razors is that they use a disposable blade. But more importantly, they use a very cheap blade. This is a little blade here from, oh, come off now. From Feather. This is my preferred company. They are very sharp, but very effective. But nonetheless, you can just use one of these blades, and these blades cost you very little money, on the order of cents, and nothing costs cents in 2024. But they are a very nice little thing, and you tend to just get a better shave with this than you do with your Mach 18 or whatever they're up to now. Sorts of Plasticho, razors, right? This is a heck of a lot nicer in a lot of ways. And so a safety razor is a good idea, right? Whether you go with this guy, whether you go with something a little bit more straightforward and like Mercur or something along those lines, you should probably be using a safety razor if you are doing much in the way of shaving, right? It is the correct answer to shaving. I'm just going to be real with you here. So hold on just a second. My freaking notes went away. It's a day already. But anyway, so you should use a safety razor. But this is a safety razor, right? You use it, you drag it along your face, it removes hair. Easy peasy. You might be thinking to yourself, Nick, what's interesting about this? Well, here's the interesting thing. If we look right here, this is their Masamune. It's the previous version from them. This is a lovely razor, absolutely great. It is a beautifully machined object. It's got great heft. It's got a whole lot of good stuff going on. Thing about it, though, is on a razor, here, let me steal the blade from this guy so I can do a direct comparison. Come here, blade. Let me get some of the Nick hair off of it. Yikes. But anyways, when you install a blade in a safety razor, it is held in a... might want to actually do this properly. Just thinking aloud out there. So when you use a safety razor, the little blade in there is held off to the side, right? You can see right here, here's your blade, right? And there is an angle at which that blade is protruding out, and there is sort of a degree of exposure, right? You've got this little bar down here, and as you are shaving, and I'm not going to actually use my finger here because that would be bad, but as you are shaving, it's kind of held at a certain angle relative to your skin. And so this little bottom lip here turns out to be very important. When this lip is shorter, then the blade sticks out further. It makes the razor much more aggressive. It cuts much more, not sure if effectively is the term, but it certainly is it's an easier cut. But your angle control becomes much more important, because if you, have that wrong, you're going to cut yourself open. Right? It is, you get closer to a straight razor style experience, which also gets you a great shave, but at 6 a.m. might not necessarily be the vibe. But on this guy, for instance, and on most safety razors, the angle here is fixed, right? This is a piece of metal, this is a piece of metal, and the blade is of a fixed length, right? And so as a result, this will always shave in exactly one way. The aggressiveness, so to speak, that is the amount that blade is sticking out, is going to be the same no matter what day, no matter what you're doing with it. This guy is a little bit different, right? Right now, I have this set to a 5. You can see that because it says 5 right there. And that means that these little leaves here are all the way in. But if I twist, do a little twist, come on, baby, do the twist, what you're going to see here is that suddenly these have opened up. And these side bars are sticking out much further. Here, I'll do this from above so you can kind of get a better sense of, you see them moving, right? Check that out. So what that does is it means that when this guy is set to 5, this blade is sticking out a fair amount over this guard, right? This is currently a very aggressive setting. When you go to 1, there is a fair amount of protection. You really need to be using a pretty shallow angle here, and this isn't going to bite so hard. And so as a result, you can be a little bit more capricious. Maybe capricious isn't the word I'm looking for here. You can be a little bit more loosey-goosey. That's not a better word. Anyways, I digress. With it at 1, then at 5, where it seriously demands respect. Right? So this is an adjustable safety razor. These are not uncommon. There are plenty of adjustable safety razors out there. The majority of your options are not, right? So the majority of your Mercurs and things like that are not actually adjustable. I've tried them before, right? This is a non-adjustable razor. It's got the thing at the bottom, but that just loosens the top of it, right? This, however, is. I've tried them before, and they always have one big issue. You spend all this time, you get all the adjustment done, and you're like, oh, okay, great. Perfect. It's dialed in. It's right where it needs to be. It's locked in. Oh, I need to change the blade, because you do need to change the blade, right? Like every other week or so, you change a blade. And then suddenly, you have to undo that adjustment. You have to make it, you were in the perfect place for your face, and then you have to undo that and then get back there again. Not a beautiful thing. Whereas with this guy, what I'm going to go on ahead and do here, just for the purposes of demonstration, is I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to center, let's make it a little bit more unconventional. I'm going to center 4 in the window here, right? 4 is my current number. You can see it's got a little bit of aperture, but not a lot. It's pretty aggressive at this state. I want to change razor. So here's what I do. I grab the thing, I twist the bottom. Now look, 4 is still centered there. The spacing is still the same. And now I can remove the blade. And I can swap that out. I can put in a new blade. I do this. And put everything back together. And at the end of it, my adjustment is still there. Perfect. This might not be that interesting if, right around 4 is what you're looking for, but if your perfect setting is someplace in the middle here, that's a beautiful thing. Having that option, having that ability, really, to keep that adjustment through, that's nice. And that makes this, frankly, a better adjustable razor than any of the other ones I've handled, right? I'm sure that there are other adjustables out there that also allow you to keep the setting throughout. And, oftentimes you can get close enough. But this allows you to really dial it in and to really customize the shave to what it is that you want. For me, it's actually turned out to be the case that I end up shaving actually around this kind of position, someplace between 3 and 4. To me, that's around the right level of a little bit of additional aggressiveness, but not like I'm going to kill you style aggressive, and not like, oh, look at the, it turns out to be about where I want it to be. And so most of the time, this ends up living about here. here. And so as a result, I dial that in. But if I'm shaving, for instance, my head, I'm going to use a different setting, right? If I'm shaving my head, I want something a little less aggressive because let's be real here, I'm not as good at shaving my head, right? There's a lot more curvature there and skull and awkwardness like that. But anyways, so as a result, I'm going to go a little bit different with it. But I like this very, very much. This adjustability is not something that you need, right? For a lot of people, a very basic sort of razor is going to be fine because the default setting is going to be fine. But once you go deep enough down the rabbit hole, you might find yourself saying, God, I wish I could customize this a little bit more. Now you can, and now you can keep it across things. There are a couple of other nice components to it, right? One of the nice spots to it is, everything breaks down nicely for cleaning. You're going to see little bits and bobs of rust on there, but that is actually just surface rust. The knife, the knife, well, I mean, kinda. But the thing itself is 316 stainless, so it ain't rusting, but the blades that put in it, those do. And so as a result, you will get some surface rust that just sticks on there. With a little Scotch-Brite, it goes down. But anyways, so, this is it's very easy to take apart and clean. I have been using this guy for probably the better part of a year now. Like I said, embarrassingly long. And it is still, it's beautiful. There's been no sign of that. And I kind of just put it to bed wet. Right after I finish shaving in the morning, I hang it up and it just hangs out and dries. Right, so I'm not exactly babying it, but it still looks great. Honestly, with a little bit of cleanup, it looks pretty factory fresh. I'll also say, one other neat trick that this guy has in terms of cleaning, they actually send this little key here. And this little key is designed to interface with this little bit here. And when I do this, what I can do, and by the way, this morning was the very first time I did this little bit, but what I can actually do is turn the little key, and that lets me drop this part free. And in doing so, you can see the mechanism here. When you're twisting the adjuster, you're twisting these pins inside these little eccentrically driven the grooves. I think they're considered eccentric. Well, I don't think they're concentric. So they're probably eccentric. And as a result, a lot of things are eccentric on this channel, let's be real. But as a result, that's how it works, right? When you twist this guy, it will, and you kind of got to get it reseated after you you take this out. By the way, a pro tip as you're doing that, pinch everything all the way together. That way you know you're in a place where they can go into the grooves. But anyways, once you do this, then you are basically pressing this outwards, and then you can adjust it that way. But anyways, so you can actually get in there and clean this little area out. And actually, while I'm in here, I'm going to be a little bit ridiculous because this is actually a friction surface. I am going to add a little bit of lubrication love in here. How long this will actually last is a really valid question. But nonetheless, I'll go ahead and do it anyways because I'm not quite sure when the next time I'm going to be in here is because chances are I'm just going to be using the thing. But, oh yeah, that's nice. But anyways, so now I've got that guy running. And now what you got to do is just drop this bad boy in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Combination on my luggage. That's a joke. That's a movie reference. Anyways, I digress. Yes, you can just pop this in. I am such an idiot. Oh my God. I just figured out why it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My inner monologue is like, oh, Nick, why would they use that number? That's a weird part number. Like, no, that's literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the adjustment numbers in there. Wow. Wow. I want this to be an inspirational moment to you all. You are very, very capable of being educated if you want to. You can get as much education. I believe in you. If that is your path, that's a great path you can be. But even no matter the amount of education you get, you can still be an idiot. I believe in you in that way, too. I am a PhD and apparently an idiot. So, both of those things can be true. Anyways, I digress. So you can take this guy fully apart, which is very nice. It allows you to clean it out in a way that is goes very in depth, right? There are no parts of this that I really can't get access to, that I can't fix up here. The other thing you're going to notice is that this is all pretty much solid. This is very solid, and it's good, strong metal. As a result, this guy holds the blade in a very, very secure way. Very, very seldom do any kind of reasonable razors not do that at this stage. It's pretty much par for the course. But at the same time, this holds it incredibly securely, right? It feels very secure. It feels very happy. It feels excellent. And so as a result, this guy, it holds well there. And so ultimately, what are my feelings on this guy? Well, I've mentioned a bunch of the good things, right? It's very stainless, right? It has a very secure hold. It's very easy to clean up, especially with a little bit of lubrication. Oh boy, that's nice. I like that feeling there. And it is the adjustable thing, which is a nice thing, especially once you get to a certain point of obsession with safety razor shaving. You might find yourself feeling like, yeah, I want a little more customization, right? But the very best thing about this guy is the fact that it does keep that adjustment through the blade change, right? That is not common. And so that feels great. I will also say it's a beautiful object. It feels very nice in the hand, right? It feels excellent. It has these nice little bumps here, which give you plenty of gription on it. The size of it is good. This has been a very, very nice razor to use. And the fact that it has just been used every damn day, this is my go-to razor, right? I have a couple of others that I will use. Actually, the Muramasa Masamune, good Lord, has been relegated to head, specifically shaving. That way I can, change those blades more. Anyways, I digress. But, still, sometimes I'll swap these guys around. But it is very, very nice. And so, to me, all of that is the good here. And I'm being a little disorganized, but hey, it's just got a bunch of really nice things going on with the adjustability, the stainlessness, the secure hold, the easy breakdown, but most importantly, the fact that it is adjustable and keeps that adjustability through a blade change. That's beautiful. On the bad side, there are two complaints that I have about this guy. First one is that, especially when you've got it on the more aggressive settings, what you're going to see here is it's actually a little tricky to get some of the hair out from underneath there. If you are shaving just, a 5 o'clock shadow off, then this is no problem. It'll just wash right through. But especially if you are, for instance, if you're shaving a head and you got a longer hairs up there, you got or you're just shaving a longer bit of shave, you will have to work to kind of wash stuff out from the inside of there. Sometimes it can be helpful, although you lose your adjustment, to open it up a little bit more and wash that way. Or sometimes the nuclear option, of course, so to speak, is just to loosen it up a little bit. In that case, you can wash out, no problems at all. But it is a little bit more prone to get clogged with shaving swarf, so to speak. It's not the term, but you know what I mean. As opposed to something like this guy where you have a completely open bar on the bottom. This is a McCurr slant bar. A very good budget sort of option, or closer to budget sort of option for you. So that is one downside here, and maybe the only non-financial downside of this. The other downside, the big downside, the big beefy downside. Oh, by the way, the box of it is nice. I just happen to have it here with a little samurai on the front, which makes me, again, think Japanese rather than Portuguese. But and by the way, it is a Portuguese company. I think I mentioned that already. Using big old chunks of cork in there to hold things down. Sustainably harvested in Portugal, apparently. But anyways, I digress. The downside to this guy is that price point. $375 is a lot of freaking money. And some of you might be thinking, but Nick, come on, $375 for a razor, you're ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely, right? But at the same time, $375 for a pocket knife is ridiculous. Certainly, $600 for a pocket knife is ridiculous, right? $700 for a wristwatch is ridiculous. Like, the ridiculousness of this channel, I think, carries through to this guy, right? You can get a cheaper razor, right? You can get a very basic Merkur. You can get this little Merkur slant bar sort of situation. It's a great little razor, right? It's pretty aggressive, but I like it a lot. It's another really nice piece of razor for you. There are lots of really great safety razors out there, right? A safety razor is the cheapest option. It is the most budget-friendly option because you're not paying $17 for a freaking 5-bladed mess of a thing that's going to give you ingrown hairs, right? Safety razors are a more budget-conscious option, but this sure isn't. Right? If you're looking to save money, do not even open Tatara's website. That's not what they're there for. And in fact, if you're just getting started in safety razor shaving, although this would certainly be a good place to start and end, I don't know that I can recommend you go this high up the chain for your very first one, right? Get a little Merkur, right? That's more than enough. Sorry, let me say that like a normal human. Merkur. There you go. Yeah, get yourself a Merkur. You're gonna enjoy it. It'll be fine, right? But this guy, you're paying a price. You're paying a price for the beauty of it, right? For the fact that it is a very nicely, feels like bead blasted throughout, stainless steel sort of situation, right? You're paying that money. You are also paying for that adjustability. One way to tell that is that the Masamune that I've also featured on the channel, this guy runs at about $180. So that's a lot less. Right? So if you're just looking for a beautiful machine razor, well, this is a really nice option for you too, right? If you don't need that adjustability or you don't want it, then there you go. And then ultimately there is that big question of like, do you need the adjustability? Do you want it? This is kind of one of those things where it's like, I'm kind of reminded of Apple computers. I swear this is related, right? Apple has a policy basically of they make the decisions for you. Right? They have a very narcissistic and totalitarian view. Oh boy, free software advocates coming out. But they have a very specific view of how you should use your computer, and they will choose those correct things for you, right? And they will actively resist when you try to customize, right? And the thing, though, is that for most people, that's probably correct. Right, I think for most people, using the Masamune is going to be great, right? It is a great razor, and it shaves beautifully, right? And if you are perfectly happy with the shave you get from a cheaper razor or from a non-adjustable razor, then by God, do it. And there are many different razors with many different levels of, well, aggressiveness out of the box, right? This slant bar is more aggressive than the Masamune was out of the box, right? And this is a much cheaper thing. So if you decide you can save money by buying 4 razors, that's a really dumb sentence. Hold on, let me back that one up a bit. You can save money by buying either one of these guys and then saying that's a little too aggressive, and then maybe switching to a different one and selling the old one. There's a vigorous third-party sales world. So you could do that approach, and you would probably still come in cheaper than this guy. But at the same time, this guy is really nice, right? And so ultimately, that's going to be my feeling. Do you need an adjustable razor? Probably not. For most people, the default settings are going to work fine, right? The Apple approach of this is how you're going to shave is fine. And I think that the setting, so to speak, the default on the Masamune is pretty damn solid. Heck, even the Merkur, I think it's 13C, they're very basic sort of thing. That's, I think, fine for most people. But if you find yourself wanting the additional customizability, that's when you might start thinking about an adjustable. And if you find yourself thinking about an adjustable and you want something that is very nice, a beautiful object, nicely machined, all that kind of stuff, and it keeps your adjustment throughout blade changes, this is the first thing I found that does that. And it works really, really nice. Actually, the other thing I'm going to say is that it's got a relatively small head on it, right? You can still see that the head is larger than the Masamune, but if you got, this is easier to navigate around like the nose and things like that. Some of the other adjustables have like these big freaking heads on the top of them, so you can't get it within 4 feet of your nose, right? That's a bit of an exaggeration, a little bit. But so that's yet another nice thing about this. So I don't know. I mean, ultimately, do you need this? Absolutely not, right? You could shave very, very happily with a $30 razor for the rest of your life, and you will save so much money by switching to the safety razors that your life will just be better, right? But this is a beautiful object. You don't need it, but if you're safety razor obsessed and you want that customizability and you want a lovely object, and you want the very best of the adjustables, because this is the best adjustable razor I've ever handled, then this is absolutely something to consider. But if you're a more reasonable human, well, by God, the sky is your oyster. You got a bunch of different options out there for you. So that's where I land with it, right? This is a lovely product. There's a reason I've been shaving with it every day. It's got a whole bunch of good stuff. But oh boy, it's a bunch of money. And you have to really love safety razor shaving and really want that feature set to want to go here. But once you do, It's pretty cool. Anyways, there you go. Hope this has been interesting to you. Tatara, sorry it took me roughly forever to do the review. I deeply apologize for that. And everybody else, I hope that you have yourselves an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. Bye now.